Okay, that's on. We have a black screen right now. Here we go. Now you guys can see the gameplay itself. But before that, let's get a little bit of music. Ooh, those are two really good songs. Let's go. Okay. And then pull this guy up. Check the. All right. That is. That's pretty great. Everybody hurts. Everybody bleeds. Everybody bends. All right. So hello guys. Sorry for the long wait for the introduction. CD Mangaka here, doing another replay analysis today. This is another ranked game about Gold 3, Gold 2, Gold 4 ELO. Our ranking division. I guess that's what we call it nowadays. I'm Gold 3. I was at 60 points when I did this game, so that's kind of like what I'm working with. Most of these players were like golds from last season. So I want to go ahead and just reorganize these guys. Oh look, like this is already like pretty much set up. That's cool. This is wow, only 2 spots. All right, so now you have the head-to-head. Let's hit the play. So this game, I was 4th picked for my team, and the enemy team comp had already had the Aurelia, the Nautilus, yeah, Aurelia, Nautilus, and Azir selected. So I'm thinking, okay, I need like a kiting ADC. Someone with pretty okay range who's going to be able to scale and lane game pretty well because Azir scales really well, Aurelia scales as well, and Nautilus is just going to get incredibly tanky. I ultimately settled in on Kalista. Now, I actually don't play a lot of Kalista. I played her a couple of times just to have that whole experience. And ultimately, I really like the team comps going in on both sides. I think they're both good comps. The only thing I would change on my side would maybe be the support. Although the Rocket support does work out in this case, but by no means does that happen through anything. So I actually gave this guy quite a bit of shit. Not really like, oh, we're going to lose this lane, we're going to beat so hard, but kind of just like, you know, I was never a fan of the Rocket pick. So, and I mean, like, you'll see this. He's going to eat so many skill shots. Yeah, it's good. We don't need to see me hopping. Okay. You're going to see, like, how many skill shots this Rocket eats, and no joke, he actually told me, like, okay, first off, he told me, hey, you should Soul Link the jungler. I'm like, no. We need that W damage and, like, that's the one thing that you have to think about whenever you're pairing with Kalista, is that you have that W harass to work with. Or rather, that's such a huge part of your trading early on. Like, that's why I started W. I started W to send a Sentinel over here, kind of do some scouting, but also so then I can do, like, the maximum health trading that you're going to see there. Just like Thresh steps up, bam, we chunk him pretty well. That's one hook. They eat. And literally, this Rocket told me, though, you should be the one eating hooks. I'm like, how about none of us eat hooks? And now, actually, to the Thresh's credit, and like, we have to talk about this. He does a really good move right here. He walks towards me, and then he throws his hook at Rocket. And then Caitlyn walks up. She has level 2 at this point, but she has some Soul Lane experience, and she gets pulled with this Peacemaker. Now, we're just waiting on level 2, so Rocket can start throwing some Starfalls down, so that she can actually heal off a Thresh. And again, Thresh does the same trick. Like, he does it twice now. So, but we reverse all in. Caitlyn actually burns her heal to save Thresh. Had I gotten one more auto and then E off, I actually would have probably gotten a kill. So that's like, my Rens this game are kind of off-center when it comes to securing kills. Then I don't have a cure to hit them mean, actually. So I lose a lot of CS in tower. This Caitlyn just bodies me. There I actually step on trap. Rock is playing back though to heal. My logic, though, is that, hey, how about nobody eats hooks, and then we can dodge a hook, get a trade in, and then just sustain our threat. And meanwhile, I'm trying and failing so hard to get any CS under tower. This is where my lack of practice with Kalista really showing. There you go. My Ren failed to get the kill there, and we'll lose another one. At the very least, I'm getting XP, but yeah, this is some really shitty farming. Kalista has a hard time farming under tower. Or, no, if you lose your Ren, you basically can't farm under tower, I feel like, early. At least I haven't developed build to. My Rocket had to back out at this point. So, this is why I wasn't a fan of the Rocket pick. It's 4 minutes in. I'm already down 9 CS because I've been forcing the tower, and Rocket's already had the back. There's no kill presence in this lane. There's no peel power in this lane. Now, the Rocket pick does go in the mid game, okay? The thing with support Rocket is that your laning phase is shit, but if you can get through that, then your team fighting press is actually really strong because you just heal everybody. Meanwhile, Udyr and LeBlanc are holy shit. This LeBlanc was really good this game. Wow, they're like full to full health here. I want to see this. So basically, what happens, the narrative of this game, bottom lane survives my bottom lane. My mid lane just, like, snowballs pretty hard. They actually get a lot of ganks off Rome. They get several assists. The Azir feeds like a motherfucker. And Cho just pretty much bodies her always. So here we go. LeBlanc goes in. She's waiting for the snare, actually. Her and Urdi are going together. Okay. She's grinding him. Azir, wow, he is being really selfish with that flash. He should have flashed that immediately. Yeah, okay. That was really selfish on his part. Holy shit. Back to bottom lane. Anyways, I'm waiting for my support to come back, and this rocket took forever to come back. I'm actually okay with her starting point in this case, just because it's going to give her extra health. A little more mana as well. I'm okay with that. Anyways, she gets hooked again. I'm like, Jesus, dude. Anyways, we both trade on the Thresh. And actually, right here, I just begin to go off. I'm like, alright, bitches. I got my rocket here, and this is where rocket really begins to kind of just give me a lot of trading power. Like, look at this. So, dodge a Q. I already used my Rendo, so, but I forced the flash on the Thresh at the very least. I just trigger a trap. Nautilus does get a gank top on Cho. Anyways, what we're going to look at in this game I feel like I go off a little bit, actually. There's a couple fights that really go my way to recover from this really shitty laning phase, as well as talking about kind of like a Kalista bottom lane. So, like, Kalista does really well with, like, all-in supports who could just, like, have infinite CC chain, because then once you get paid to all, you can just, like, CC someone for long periods of time. Yeah. Nautilus comes in for a gank. Well, actually, I should show you this. So let's see, what, 5 hooks? There's another one? This Raka, man. They ate so many hooks. I'm like, how can you not? How are you getting hit by this? I don't understand. I'm just dying. I'm like, you're killing me, Raka. You're killing me. You're supposed to be eating the hooks. Oh, no. Let's not skirt that boundary. Anyways, here I am. Again, forced to try and farm our tower. And then, yeah, it looks like my Raka really needs to be actually supporting me hitting CS. Like, I keep on marking them in from a passive, and all she has to do is trigger it. Doesn't get a lot of damage on them, but she's not even helping with that. The support was okay. They claim to be a support main. I don't think they're a good support main, honestly, based off this game. But then again, I'm just a hater. Anyway, so Udyr tries to come in for a gank here, and he just gets bodied a bit. Actually forces my heal, which I overreacted. Raka's doing a lot of heals. Yeah, maxing W, it's already looking for a I'm not used to laning with a Raka. Like, I hardly see the Raka support, so I don't know what the needs are. But, like, here's the thing, okay? So this is why I don't think Raka support is good in the laning phase. So, let's break this down to talk about this a bit, because I don't mean just to, like, bash on Rocket Stage shit support, because I've mentioned earlier that I think she's really good in team fights. In fact, you're going to see how fucking crazy she goes in this game. But the thing is, when you get in the laning phase, okay, like, you basically just say, okay, we are just, like, fighting the pillar. We're just going to take a beat all laning phase and just scrap through it before we can turn it around in team fights. That's, like, basically what you're signing up for. So, Udyr is coming in for this gank. And now, if you look at the enemy vision, this is what they can see. Alright, you know, he's got an award. And we're pushing, you know, first off, we're pushing tower. But he's pinged on the way. Raka has no way to engage a fight. She has no way to start a trade between Thresh and Caitlyn. She can try and throw her E at them, but it's not like a hook from Thresh. It's not like a flash pulverized combo from Alistar. She can't just, like, initiate a fight. So if the enemy, like, bottom lane has vision like this, okay, basically Udyr has to come on in. So here we go, like, we try, Caitlyn just skirts around, she gets a free lantern, and now at this point, we are so far behind that we actually can't help Udyr. Yeah, wow, I really wasted my heal there. Okay, so, cool it on the heal if it's unnecessary. Anyways, let's go back to my vision of the game. So yeah, that's why I kind of feel like she's, like, not good in the laning phase, and I mean, you see that, like, part of me being hurt this badly in the laning phase was me having a support that can't really fight against these guys. Yeah, they enable me. She enables me to take all kinds of beatings, sure, but she doesn't contribute any meaningful CC to the fight. The silence is good, and if you get the snare, that's great, but it's just nowhere near as, like, playmaking as Thresh is. So, anyways, I'm just kind of cutting around. Anyways, but the good thing is, though, I haven't left the lane yet, so even though I'm way far behind, like, in terms of CS, I still haven't backed for items, so here I am, like, failing so much CS. Anyway, so I should go back and actually look at this point. So my bottom, so there's the enemy Nautilus. He's actually looking to counter jungle blue, just being really aggressive, which I have no idea why he's doing that, like, Udyr outdoes him early, and Azir's stuck in mid. So he comes over here, we release it, and then he picks a fight with him. And actually, let's see, does he have Gromp on him? Yeah, okay, he doesn't have a Gromp passive on him, but I mean, he's got his Brownie Cinder. So he burns an ultimate here, and here's Soraka trying to zone Thresh, and, like, he can walk through it. Like, he can walk through her field. Anyways, the shit show begins here, kids. So, I come in from the side here. Now, here's one thing that shouldn't have happened. So Caitlyn stays here to farm more CS and pushes in my tower. Okay, that's okay to do. But she already had a minion wave advantage in bottom lane. Like, I can just tell you that. So she should have immediately left this to come up and join here. Like, this was already going to go into tower. What this does is it prevents her from coming in. So now the enemy team has a 4v3. Udyr's about to die, but Rock comes in, and this is where we're really seeing it. Rocka is really good at skirmishes, where there's so that there's other champions who can fly CC, and then she can just go back in. Anyway, so I get hooked by Thresh. I'm like, oh, that's bad. Anyways, I actually ran. I think I ran to the right there. No, I didn't. Nautilus like flashed out of range before like a good run. Anyways, now look how late Caitlyn is joining this fight. Like at this point, like Azir is already going to die. She gets her heal off. Anyway, so we try and turn on Caitlyn. She's stunned under Dragon. She's taking some hits from Dragon. Rocket gets level 6 at some point in this fight. Just from the depth experience, all that stuff. And actually right here, these guys did a really good job just leeching me this kill. So that's how that fight plays out. Nautilus overextended, trying to contest a blue buff where he had no backup on for some reason. He gets caught out by the Udyr and the LeBlanc. Azir responds immediately, Thresh responds immediately. Caitlyn does not. Caitlyn does not show up early to that fight, even though she doesn't have an IM advantage. Had she joined that fight at the start, I think they would have gone in their favor because she had such a huge advantage over me. Now, because that also a lot of CCs were blown on the LeBlanc and on the Udyr, I had like free reign to just kite around and do Kalista things. And with that, I pull up a double kill. That basically puts me ahead of Caitlyn. If you look at the gold values, I am 200 gold ahead of her. And I still haven't back, so I'm gonna have a huge buy when I do go back. And that's like the power of the Kalista in these early game fights. Anyway, so Caitlyn tries to come over for CS. I come over here. Rocket just lets me lane. Oh god, I'm sorry guys. Anyway, so my goal is just like, okay, I really want to back, but not without taking some Caitlyn summoners. I just use Rocket ultimate before Caitlyn's flash. So now that she's back, I can just push this lane in, cover a bit on CS. One thing that helps Kalista wave clear is if you target different minions with your autos and then use your mana. So if you get a minion like two autos into minions, it's got like 2 stacks, and you start hitting the other minion, and you can run both of them. That really helps you push the wave. Anyways, my first back is a BF Sword and Berserker Greaves. Now this is pretty common in the professional scene, and here's the reason behind it on building Kalista. Okay, because Kalista has this infinite kiting potential because of her passive, you want to build lifesteal first on her. Blade of the Rune King is kind of it seems like we're on her right now, whereas Bloodthirster, just because of how much AD it gives, as well as the amount of lifesteal it also has, that it just gets you in a really good spot. So by building the BF Sword, you get the early lane trading power that most ADCs want to get with an AD first item. This is an innovation after people kind of learn that, okay, maybe like Runeans first, like just nothing but Runeans isn't that good on Kalista, even though Runeans is a good item. Then so people will pick up the BF Sword for the trading, and then they'll finish Berserker Greaves so that they get improved passive usage. The movement speed from the item lets you jump farther with it, and the attack speed lets you get more autos out, obviously. So it's a really good pickup. The fact that I get to come back to lane with this combo is really good. All of that because of that fight going the way it did. Namely because Caitlyn didn't enjoy it. Anyways, I want to turn chat off. So. Anyway, so I'm trying to freeze the lane. Rocka's going around to Worm. Rocka actually builds her Talisman of Ascension first. I don't agree with that at all. I think that you need the tankiness from Sightstone. Because think of it this way, if you're Rocka, building that health of Sightstone actually lets you get more heals off. And also just like the vision control in the early game is like really good. Like, there's just no reason to get Talisman of Ascension first. I hate people that don't know that. And then Raka's like trying to argue with like, oh, how is she like doing really godly? And she has a really good score, but at the same time, she's a Raka. Like, she presses R like Karthus, and she gets, you know, like, contribution to kills and stuff. So we come back to lane. Now Caitlyn actually back. She pushed the wave in to dine some more CS, and then she picked up a VSR as well. So this kind of makes us a little even in terms of damage right now. But again, like the all-in potential from Thresh and Caitlyn is much greater than Raka's in mine, just because Raka keeps eating hooks. So he gets a flay. She's already chunked. I use Fate's Call just to save her from damage. She throws herself back in, but we have no vision. And like, look right here. Like if Raka had she has a ward, which she should have placed here for vision control. But if she had a Sightstone, it would be pretty easy to do. Anyways, Nautilus is actually... There's action happening mid, but we're looking at my play right now. And then once again, like... Oh, dude. I got bodied really hard in this laning phase. Part of it... Okay, I've been shit-talking to Raka a bit. Let me just say this. Part of it is the fact that I don't play Kalista. Like, much. So I don't know, like, how to CS under turrets with her. I kind of don't know my limits of the champion. I need to play her more. The other aspect, though, was the fact that Raka's laning phase just has no presence. So, and right here, I forgive this hook. This hook, it's kind of like, okay, the angle on that, yeah, you're going to get hit by that. But at the same time, it's pretty easy to predict. So she just had to backstep it. Like, she's eating so many hooks. So now I'm forced to heal. I actually jump in front of the Caitlyn hook to save her. So... that she lives and shit. God, dude. The Raka does really well in team fights. I don't hold the laning phase like too much to her. Like I don't criticize her too much for it just because of the champion pick. It was a gamble that worked. And the thing though is that I get, because of like how this game goes, I'm able to move into this mid-game power spike that Caitlyn just doesn't get to match, because Caitlyn begins to fall behind actually, and Caitlyn just always has a power. So, anyways, now their bottom lane is doing a really good thing. They're trying to rotate in the mid lane. However, Caitlyn just dies. Like, she just steps way too close to the Azir, to the Udyr and the LeBlanc. In a really good spot. So I rotate on over after getting some farm bot lane. Once again, Thresh is doing things. Meanwhile, Nautilus goes topside. He actually picks up a kill on Cho'Gath. So, but now we're in the mid lane, trying to do things there. And I'll talk about my item build at some point. I'm not sure. I'm a little doubting on it. Missed my Q. Nautilus comes in, so I'm like, alright, time to back up. My map vision, my map awareness in the game is a little better than in my Jarvan game, if you guys watched that video. I get hooked. My turn to get hooked. But look at this response. Look at this response from LeBlanc. Immediately, the second I get hooked, she flashes in onto the Azir, preventing any fallout from, like, any of Nautilus' teammates. Anyways, and then, like, Raka just doesn't do anything here. She can't heal him off of me, she can't CC him, she just kind of stands there and dies. Anyway, so I get these massive Ren stacks on Nautilus. Right there. So this is where, like, Kalista is really beginning to work out. Okay, Nautilus simply, he can lock me down for a bit, but if there's no follow-up with him, he can't solo me out. That's why I don't like Nautilus as a jungle pick. I feel like jungle tanks right now, like the popular ones, Sejuani, Gragas, they have some form of percent health damage in their kit, so there is going to be damage, and they have the ability to really put on the hurt at any point in the game. Nautilus doesn't have that in his kit. That's why I feel like the transition from him going from jungle to support was a very natural one, because if you look at his kit, it's lacking damage, but the CC is so heavy on it. It makes sense. It makes sense for him to go in that way. I like Nautilus support a lot. Anyway, so Aurelia tries to come in. Cho'Gath answers with a pretty good teleport just to dissuade her off. Aurelia comes back up. He's there to absorb an ultimate, which is good. And I'm back. And I back. So now with that kill on Nautilus, I pick up a Fam Scepter. Again, my first item buy is going to be a Bloodthirster. And then into that, it's going to be an attack speed item. Because then I'm going to be able to kite, sustain, and deal a lot of damage with my Ren. That's the aspect of Kalista's kit that works really well with sustain. Because you're looking to build up the Ren damage on you don't need to itemize crit chance. Even though itemizing crit is still good because it relies on autos. I've written an article on her before, but it looks like in practice, like, crit on Kalista just ain't. Anyway, so we're just here kind of building up stuff. Azir's trying to poke. Don't I do? This is the new 3 Days Grace album playing with their new lead singer, Matt Walst. It's an okay album. It's an okay album. It still doesn't touch my notes, but I don't think at this point anything 3 Days Grace can ever touch my notes. So we're going to rotate here, just farm. So Cho goes top to take care of that farm. I go bot to take care of that farm. Soraka, LeBlanc hold mid while I do that. I go take Scuttle just for the extra vision, especially since Dragon is still an objective that we can contest. Now at this point, this is going really good for our side because with the Caitlyn, they want to like take more towers. They want to snowball their lead and turn into objectives. But LeBlanc's wave clear and the sustain from Soraka is too much for them to really get through. So they keep on just like butting heads in their tower. Anyways, you're trying to move in to get some vision on Dragon. We don't go for it yet. That's one thing that we do really well. We just stay in the lanes and focus on those. So this lets me go pick up some side lane farm. Try to push that in. I'm pretty sure at this point I could duel Caitlyn, but I see that she has a red buff here, so I'm like, I'm not doing that. Anyways, we make the call for Dragon here because Caitlyn shows bot, they're showing mid, and we can just easily take this. We're currently doing an award though, so I have my Ren there to help. So let's see this fight. Apologize for this, guys. Okay, so Nautilus, so Thresh gets this hook, and then Nautilus follows up with it. So like this is a really powerful CC chaining, like Hook City, baby. Anyway, so but they hit Shogath, and so that's not too bad. So I'm on the outskirt of the fight, actually. Raka pops the Talisman of Ascension, and she throws down her Silence there. That's where it was. Anyway, so Nautilus moves up in. Thresh, that's a really peculiar box. That's, like, doing nothing. So Udyr dives onto the Azir instead of, like, peeling, but he's able to, like, pretty much solo out the Azir. Cho flashes in just as Azir ult, so he actually gets pushed back. So now Aurelia is on me. So this is not looking too hot. I used my ultimate at this point to call Raka to me and peel Aurelia off me. I used my heal at this point in the fight, and Raka used her ultimate. So anyways, now that Aurelia is off me, I can basically just kite this out. Like, Nautilus has burned a lot of his CC. Plenty of his spells are on cooldown. Udyr is here, kind of awkwardly, and Cho is actually forced out of the fight. Okay, but I still have a lot of free time to just auto this Nautilus. And now Raka actually sets down her snare ahead of time, and she gets it onto Nautilus. That's really good. Aurelia tries to dive me, but the sustain from Soraka's heals, as well as my Vamp Scepter, are keeping me alive in this fight. Anyway, so there's some couple low health targets here. Now, watch my target selection here. This is actually really good by me, and I kind of just like, hey, let's do it. I go onto Caitlyn. Rather than going for the Nautilus, I immediately hit her. And I think I crit her. No, I don't. Did I have crit at this point in the fight? No, I don't. I just eat through her with my Ren. So I pick up a kill onto Caitlyn. So that's my third kill in these fights. So this is where the Kalista pick is really working out for me. I've kited the Aurelia, I've kited the Thresh, and I've kited the Nautilus. It's working really well. And now Raka, all this shit I've talked about, let's take it all back in the team fights, because now we've got through the landing phase, and we're in these skirmishes where she really excels at. Still think she needs a Sightstone, she can get more heals off, but hey. Aurelia tries to step up, and I just kill her. Then I move to try and pick up Thresh. So now I picked up 2 kills out of this fight after, like, being dove on. Then Thresh steps too close, he gets CC'd. Trying my damnedest. I think I throw my spear. I hit Thresh. So they're trying to recall. Now we got some presence. Caitlyn's dead. Aurelia's dead. But Azir shows up. But LeBlanc is able to zone him back from our tower. And we're just ramming it, trying to force it down. Anyway, so I want red buff now. It's up. I'm doing really well. LeBlanc is able to get out. Cho is kind of stuck there. And now look at Raka. Okay, Raka's doing really well. Okay, she's able to sustain him through this and basically punish these dives really hard. So the fight goes on long enough to where I actually join back in. So Nautilus, I fate call Raka away to avoid getting killed by Nautilus and then knock him out. The Raka was really good most of the time with deciding how to use my ultimate. So that's another point of credit I do have to give to her. Anyway, so I come back in, I pick up an assist, and I have red buff. And I wanted red buff because true damage burn is slow. I'm just going to basically kite forever. Then we pick up some farm bot side. Right now, it's like a lot of headbutting in mid lane, but we keep coming out ahead in these skirmishes. So, I mean, we can keep doing this forever. And as long as the fights keep going our way, it's great for us. I just keep on sticking with the minion wave. I'm way behind in CS on Caitlyn, but, like, look how much, like, I've outdone her in team fights. I've contributed to 7 of my team's kills, where she's only contributed 1. She's died twice. And now I have a 1,200 gold lead. So basically, with how we played the team fights, or like these skirmishes, it's made up for how hard I got bodied in lane. And that's kind of like the issue with picking Caitlyn, is that you get a really strong lane presence, but you could fall behind in the mid game really hard. So I buy a Zeal and a Cloak, because my next item is going to be Fan Dancer. I want to scale really hard, I want a lot of attack speed to be able to kite around, and Static Shift on Kalista is kind of end. So I go for that just to also apply crit. I could have gone for a Ruin's Hurricane, but honestly, with how the fights have been going, I'm mostly just getting a lot of single target autos off. So I don't feel like I really want to Ruin's Hurricane, or at least I won't maximize it. Anyways, with Raka's movement speed, one thing to say about Talisman of Ascension, the fact that she does have it really enables the fights, but with movement speed. Though Udyr did build the Righteous Glory. So we go on the Azir. I pop my Ren pretty early. And that's one thing, so boom, crit. One thing I like about building the crit on Kalista is that it doesn't make me solely reliant on getting Ren. Anyway, so we go here, I get another kill. Now we're just picking them off one by one. And we're forcing down towers. And now at this point, like, we're pretty much snowballing inside control. So I'm able to kite, I get 2 crits in a row, that's just dirty. So, I don't know what Thresh is doing. He's just trying to force this fight. And I'm like, what you doing? I lose that kill to exhaust. The block comes in and grabs it. I don't know what he was trying to do. Azir's trying to harass, but he's so far behind in terms of items right now, it doesn't do much. Nautilus gets an engage onto Udyr, and I'm just like, alright, get a couple autos. Rock and I are trying to apply our autos at the same time. So anyways, I jump away from Raka because I can see the depth charge going in while Raka just kind of walks in. Anyway, so Aurelia goes in trying to finish off some kills. Raka flashes out. Stay alive. And now, look at my targeting in this fight again. I'm ignoring Nautilus, and I'm going for the threats. Like, I'm interested in these guys. I don't give a shit about him. He's not going to do a whole lot of damage to me. But these guys I don't want to get. So I focus down the Aurelia. Before she gets away, I throw a Rend in. I turn on Nautilus. Rocket come up. There we go. There's the bit of her health shred. I use the ultimate to get some CC down. And now that, there's no one really to hit but Nautilus, I finally go get the kill on him. And again, Rock is keeping everybody alive. So then here we go. I see an opportunity right here. I just want to point it out. So anyways, Caitlyn barely misses the rupture. Or Caitlyn barely avoids the rupture. Anyway, so I kill Nautilus. She steps forward trying to eyeball these kills, and I'm like, okay, Aurelia isn't going to do shit to me. I can clean this up. So I flash onto her. Auto, jump forward. Another auto, jump forward. I don't lose vision on her, so I finish the auto, and I actually kill her with Ren. So I pick up a double kill in that fight. But you can see how I'm choosing targets. Here I go for the Aurelia. I'm like, I want this so bad! And I'm just like, give up on it. Thresh gets a hook. He hits me with that, but I'm like, I don't care. Had I done 2 autos and then rendered the Aurelia, I think I would have gotten her. Though I don't know if I would have caught her without the slow from them. Anyway, so now I'm just kind of like, oh no. Anyway, so I just juke up, because this Thresh is used to hitting Raka. Shots fired. Anyway, so after that, dragons spawned in that whole mess, so we just go pick it up. So the skirmishes, if we break down what's happening in these team fights, the Raka heals are really keeping everybody alive long enough to where we can sustain through all the CC and all this upfront burst coming from blue team. So now Cho'Gath does extend over in top side and he gets killed. I get some free farm bottom lane, but like I give him so massively fed this game. Like I got body and laning phase, but with how like scattered these skirmishes were and how our team comp actually functions, I got so far ahead in this game. The enemy team doesn't have enough lockdown and they're not focusing me well enough to kill me instantly. So I go back, I pick up my Fan Dancer, sell my Dorans for a last whisper. the buys, man. Anyways, if you look here, so here's the Great Escape. That's worth looking at. So Niles is trying to CC, but he doesn't do enough damage. He simply doesn't do enough damage. And you know what the really sad thing is? Nautilus actually did the most damage in the game. He did. I'm not even lying. Pretty sad. Once again, you see my target selection, and I just ignore Nautilus, and I just go into Caitlyn. Now she can't do anything, and now I can just auto him, sustain. Yeah, he hooks me. He's chunking me quite a bit. Unfortunately, I don't think I have Rend up to hit him with it. I need to time my Rends a little better so that I can actually get those hits. And my reasoning behind buying Last Whisper, earlier power spike than if I try to buy Infinity Edge. As well as the fact that there was already a Frozen Heart, and the early looking towards Landing's Omen, so if I can beat the armor coming in with my penetration, then that's really good. Infinity Edge was going to be my next item. Although a Silver Sash actually probably should have been looked at just for cleansing CC. Skirmish happens mid. I'm just trying to harass Nautilus. I'm trying to E here. I'm like, oh, let me get the Rend off. Disappears. I step too forward here to get that Rend. And I revert my heal trying to kite this out, and it's just not going to work. So Udyr comes in, trying to peel for me. He's trying to stun as many people as he can, but it rarely gets me. So that's my one death this game. Kind of sad. Anyways, yeah, so I get caught out, and but once again, the Raka squad is able to pretty much keep everybody alive. And then, oh my god, I didn't even realize. So I saw this one, so this is funny. I knew that the Caitlyn died at this moment. I knew why she died, but I didn't see there was a double. So anyways, the skirmish is going on for so long that we're actually like able to join in on them. So Cho comes in, Caitlyn goes for the ultimate, like she wants to hit the rocket, but she misclicks Cho. And then he gets a double kill rupture. Oh my god. It's fucking beautiful. So the rocket pick's working really well. I think that she could have built the item path differently, and it would have been a little better. Anyway, so then LeBlanc just going to try and kill her. I'm like, no, you don't have the manas. But then look at this play. So she uses her W to get away. W's back in, then uses her ultimate because it's free of Choss and procs the Wiggins. It was so clean. That's a really good LeBlanc player. Pretty good for my elo. Most LeBlancs, including myself, usually just feed. Anyway, so 12k gold lead. The game is pretty much over at this point unless we start massively throwing. Raka and Udyr roaming around together. Udyr's way ahead. Caitlyn is so far behind. I'm like, I have 3 core items. She only has 1. I'm actually able to spend some time to get some CS. Azir's trying to stall the game with his stuff, but he's like really behind as well. Thresh is trying to force engages. It's not working. And at this point, there's not really much to say, except for just kind of like seeing how this all goes. I'm hitting Nas because he's the only target I can hit. I actually hit my Q into a minion and I was like, oh, don't clap it. I could have E'd right there, actually. Killed the minions with it, and then been able to get a new set of Rend off. I need to get better with my Rend mechanics. Here I go, try to harass Caitlyn. No crit there. As you can see, like, oh my god, so far ahead. So we make the call to go to Baron. Cho kills Azir somehow. Azir's really low. He gets a rupture. Why would you back there? Come on, man. These guys are just done. Anyway, so if you look at the enemy's vision, here's what we do. We go Baron, except it's a bait. So I clean up Scuttle first, just because I want it. I throw my Sentinel out. Perfect Rupture, perfect Silence. Star Call. Raka's Snare, I will say this is really good when you have other CC to work with, and once we actually got paired up with our team to have CC, it went really well. So we pick up a double kill, we turn on Baron, and the enemy team is actually going to try and contest. Just keep it off. We take it. We take their blue. And I have enough gold to back for like most of my Infinity Edge. Although again, I probably should just get a Silver Sash. and they surrender because it's just they're too far behind. So, yeah, things to draw from this game is that prepare for a really passive laning phase with a Raka support, just because, especially if we're up against like a really heavy engaged support. I'll talk about this in like an article or something, like a little bit of an editorial, like the idea of opportunity cost in League of Legends. But again, we got to the point where we could skirmish team fights really well, and in fact, if you look at it, like just from the story of bottom lane, okay, like that's where the game really turned around. We were getting bodied in lane as expected, but once we had like a little skirmish around the bottom side of the jungle, that's when we began to pull ahead, just because we were a really strong skirmishing comp, and the enemy team didn't respond appropriately to it. So, target selection from ADCs. If there's like someone who can see, if there's someone who's blowing cooldowns next to you, and like an enemy team is exposing themselves, and you can hit the carries, go hit that carry. You can't, like, that puts you in a much better position than them hitting you while you're hitting their tank. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching this. Hope you picked up a thing or two from it. This is CD Mangaka with some Kalista ADC play. Really excited to practice her a bit more, get really good with her. So, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.